Hey, if your church vanished tomorrow, would anyone notice? That question isn't about guilt. It's all about clarity. So let's talk about how to stop doing everything and start leading with focus. Welcome back to Church Made Simple. I'm your host, Stephan Kilgore, and today we're asking a deceptively simple question. What do you actually want your church to be known for? Because the truth is, if you're not clear on that, no system in the world can save you from burnout and confusion. The reality is clear. Churches do not fail overnight. They drift. I remember being a teenager, my parents let me bring a friend to South Padre with us on a family vacation. It was my first time at the ocean. As you can tell, I'm pasty, so I don't really go outside much, but we're at the beach and my friend wanted to go boogie boarding. So we get on these boogie boards. We had no idea what we were doing, and we're out in the ocean. And my dad was very clear. Make sure you're paying attention to where we are at all times. Well, I didn't heed that advice. So slowly but surely, I'm in the water and I'm just kind of floating around. And about 10 minutes later, I look up and I'm still near the coastline, but I'm probably a mile away from my parents. Like, that's how fast it felt. But in reality, it was a slow drift with each wave. And here's what happens in churches. We drift not necessarily because we have the wrong people, we don't have enough lights, we're not live streaming, whatever. No, we drift because we don't have clarity. So people get distracted trying to do it all, or the church as a whole tries to do it all. You can't be everything to everyone. If you try, you're going to burn out your team, you're going to wear out your volunteers, and honestly, if you're a pastor, you're going to want to quit. So here at Revive, where I pastor, we've done this. I remember when we were younger, first starting out, man, it was like we wanted to keep anybody who walked through the doors. And so anytime somebody said, hey, pastor, we should do this, we would try it. And we go, yeah, we can do that. And I began to sign our church up for things that we weren't good at, we weren't prepared for, we didn't have a system for. And instead of trying to keep things simple, instead of trying to just keep things clear and with clarity, we started doing things that added more confusion. The more your church does, the less people know your identity. The more your church takes on, the more you agree to, the less clarity you have, and the more complicated it will become. So how do we overcome who we are and this confusing sense of I have to do everything, we have to reach everybody in our community? Well, there's 3 questions we need to ask. And this is something I want to encourage you to get with your teams as a whole, maybe your executive team, your leadership team, or even your entire volunteer team. First question is real simple. What do we want to be known for in our city? Like, what do you want to be known for? What is it that you feel like God has really called you to? And it's not just what you believe, but really what do you embody? I heard somebody just recently talking about how churches, really they were talking about people will try to take on this identity of something that they want to do and they'll put God's name on it. Did you know that not every church has to have a food pantry? Because not every church is designed or has clarity of systems in such a way where they can feed everybody in their community. Not to say that's bad, but not every church has to do that. Not every church has to have a knitting ministry. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Well, we've got 3 90-year-old ladies and they want to be a part and they're really good at knitting, and so we need to have a knitting ministry. Well, that's not what you want to be known for in your city. So let's be honest. Sit down and clarify. When people think about our church, when they drive by and they see that sign, what do we want to be known for by them? What do we want them to think about? And this is going to help you because it's going to tie a thread together in everything you do, not just in your community, but also online. So what do we want to be known for in our city? Number 2, what does success look like for us? I think success has become this broad term, and I'm guilty of it as well, where success is a certain number of people, success is a certain size building, success is a certain salary, success is a certain number of team members, success is every Sunday for 6 straight weeks, nothing ever goes wrong, or just nothing ever goes wrong ever. But if you can't define success, you'll never actually achieve success. The Bible doesn't say anywhere that success is perfection, right? And when we try to throw perfection on our ministries, on people that we're leading, whether that be a volunteer position, a paid position, without clearly defining success, the success mentality is perfection. And then when you hit that level of what you think is perfection, guess what? You're going to find somebody else who does it better. And now you're comparing yourself to their success, your success to their success, and you're trying to figure out how do we get to where they are. Man, the greatest churches that are most notorious for this are churches under 200. Because I believe as the stat goes, 80% of churches are under 200. And what's phenomenal about that is 80% of churches under 200 are normally around 100% of the churches looking at the other 20% going, I want to be where they are. I want to do what they're doing. But is that really success? Because with each new level comes a season of hard work, a season of blood, sweat, and tears that some people aren't even prepared for. Are you willing to do what they've done to have their measure of success? So what does success look like for your church in your community? Let me say this too. Listen, if you're under 200, you're right there with us. We are in the trenches together. We're hovering around the 200 mark right now. We've got some people online as well. But the truth is, if I try to measure my success by a 10,000 member church, or I try to measure our success as Revive Church with one campus versus a church that has 27 campuses around America, I'm never going to achieve that. And I'm going to stress myself out and stress my team out. So what does success look like for you? Get with your team and define success. Lastly, this is a hard question to answer. Who are we uniquely called to reach? And how will we do that clearly and consistently? Who are we uniquely called to reach, and how will we do that clearly and consistently? When I was a young pastor starting out, I had this mentality. We're going to reach everybody. Like, I don't care who you are, worst of the worst, best of the best. We're reaching everybody. We're going to be a church of diversity, whatever that means, the buzzword. No, the reality as I grew was God didn't call me to reach everybody. And I figured that out, unfortunately, a little late in the game, but I had to figure that out because as a pastor, you are the main communicator of the vision, of the mission, of the theological, doctrinal issues. Like, you are the main communicator. You're the one setting the stage for everything. And when you say we're going to reach everybody, you can't do that if your mission, vision, and doctrinal foundation doesn't match up with everybody else's. So what you'll start to do is you'll start to waver in your mission, waver in your vision. I mean, I had people who would come up to me after messages, like first-time guests, like don't even know our church, don't know me, but they'd come up and they'd immediately challenge what I preached. Not like this wasn't Bible, but I didn't like this. I mean, I had somebody one time flat out tell me, they were like, listen, if you preach what I want you to preach, I'll be your biggest financial supporter. And that person could have done it too. It's crazy because if we don't understand that we're uniquely called to reach somebody, we'll try to reach everybody. And when you try to reach everybody, you get confused. Your church gets confused. Most brands that we see, let's take Apple, for instance, because this is a MacBook Pro. Apple isn't trying to reach everybody. They're not. They price certain people out of the market. They're trying to reach a specific niche in the market. They're trying to reach a specific people group. And then they understand that if we can reach our target market, other people will want to be a part and buy our products as well. Their advertising is focused on a specific group of people. Their pricing is focused on a specific group of people. Their marketing is focused on a specific group of people. So is that to say that you can only reach who you're called to reach? Nah, we have outliers as well. We have people who we weren't necessarily called to reach, but they were drawn by the Holy Spirit to be here. But when we're focused on who we're called to reach, we can begin to clarify how we're going to do that and clarify how we can consistently do that. So when you know what matters most, the greatest blessing is the word no. Like, I love to say no. I know it seems childish. I've had two daughters, and when they started learning the English language, it was amazing how quickly they loved to say no to me and say no to my wife about things. Go brush your teeth. No. Eat your food. No. Put your diaper back on. No. But as I grew up and as I'm an adult, when I begin to make clear decisions around who we are as a church, how I define success, who we're reaching in our community, then instead of feeling like I have to say yes to please people, I can create a boundary of no that I can say to some things that sound good. I'll say no to the good things so I can say yes to the right things. And here's the kicker though. For every yes, there's a million different no's. For every yes, there's a million different no's. And you have to be comfortable with that. And you have to understand that's going to bring health to your church. That's going to bring health to your staff, to your team. So you have to decide, I'm going to say no. There is real power in saying no. Just recently, we began to restructure behind the scenes at Revive. We really believe that God's calling us to a new season. And so we brought in a coach, and he's been incredibly helpful. I've loved working with him. But I was just teasing him a couple of weeks ago because he got on a call and he's like, hey, fill me in. What's been going on? And I said, man, you caused a lot of chaos in our church. And he was like, what are you talking about? I said, man, listen, I appreciate everything you've done, because what you've done is you've given me the power to say no to a lot of things so we can say yes to the right things. But I didn't realize how much pain that was going to cause because there was already so much confusion. So I want to warn you, when you start saying no to the knitting ministry, saying no to, hey, we're not going to try to reach this area of our city or this college campus, we're going to focus on this neighborhood. When you say no to certain things, you're going to hurt some people's feelings, and really, you're going to cause some chaos in your church. But if you give it time and you help people understand the why behind it, you give clarity to why we're saying no, give clarity to who you are, what defines a success in the books of your church, man, people get on board. So I want to speak to those of you who, you're a team member, you're a volunteer, you're not staff, you're not getting paid, and you love your church. Listen, if you love your church, love the simplicity of your church. Don't just love your church when things are going your way. Don't just love your church when your pastor's preaching what you want him to preach. Don't just love your church when the band is singing the song you love on K-Love. No, love your church when there's a transition. Love your church in both seed time and harvest time. Love your church when your pastor and the leadership team and whoever, however you structure it, love them and love your church when they're trying to break the monotony of chaos, break the confusion, and simplify things. Clarity gives you as a congregant, you as a carrier of the mission and vision, permission to simply focus your energy on moving forward in the mission and vision of your church. You want clarity. You may not feel it right now, but you want clarity. So pray over your church, pray over your pastors and say, hey, how can I help you kill confusion in our church and bring clarity? If your church is not clear on what it's trying to do and who it's trying to reach, everything becomes complicated, but it doesn't have to stay that way. So start by answering those 3 clarity questions with your team this week. And to help you with that, there's a link in the description below to download my free PDF, 3 clarity questions every church needs to answer. I want you to opt in, get that sent to your email so that you can sit down with your team and together discuss these things. And if this episode is helping you, I want to ask you, would you not just only subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening, but share it with somebody else. Share it with a pastor. Share it with a team member in your church. Share it with somebody who you know could really use that word. Clarity changes everything. And it's true, clarity changes everything, but clarity without the simple systems still leads to burnout. So in the next episode, I'm going to unpack the one thing every church team needs, but most don't even realize they're missing. And trust me, you're going to want to bring your whole team to that one.